I want to leave my girlfriend who was roped. I realize right up front that I'm going to come across as a jerk, and I will probably get lots of hate for this, but I'm looking for all points of view. Also, this is going to be very long because I just don't know what to leave out. Honestly, I need to vent some. Here is the story. A year ago, actually a year and a month ago, my girlfriend was roped as she was leaving work. Thankfully, she was not unalived. However, her attacker did threaten her with a weapon. Fortunately, the store she works at had cameras in the parking lot, and between them getting video of the attack and the bank across the street, getting the attacker's car on camera, the police were able to catch him within a day. Between the video and DNA testing, he did not even contest. He just pled guilty in exchange for not receiving the max. Since there were aggravating circumstances, the weapon, the judge gave him a 20-year sentence. With time for good behavior, he can be out in about 10 years, give or take. I tell you all of that to make it clear that her attacker is no longer a threat. She doesn't have to fear him coming back for her, at least for 10 years or so. Obviously, this was a very traumatic event in her life, and while I was not a victim per se, it was also very traumatic for me as well. I can't imagine what she has gone through, and I don't compare my situation to hers at all. But I have had severe bouts of depression because I couldn't protect her, and knowing someone else was harming her sometimes was almost more than I could handle. After the incident, she did not want to see me. I get that it hurt, but I understood. Her parents picked her up from the hospital, and I did not see or hear from her for a week, which I sort of get, but I think I could have gotten a text or something, just saying she was okay. Finally, a week later, her sister called me and let me know that she was staying with her parents and that she would be calling me in a couple of days. She never called me. Instead, I once again got a text from her sister saying she would like me to come over for a few minutes so we can talk. I got up and went over, and I was greeted at the door by her mother, who very calmly and very coldly started laying out to me how I was to act and what I was to say. I was further instructed to not attempt to make any physical contact with her, as in hug or anything. Okay. Again, I get it. Major trauma. I'm sure they have been coached by therapists, counselors, or something in what to say and do around her. So I played along. I walked in, and she was sitting on a chair with her dad standing next to her and her sister sitting on the couch. As I walked in the room, the sister started talking and telling me that my girlfriend wanted me to know that she was okay, but obviously she has been traumatized and appreciates my understanding in her recovery. She never said one single word to me and barely looked at me. Again, this was right after the event, and I'm understanding that this is how it has to be. But honest to God, that entire conversation was just awkward as hell. I left, went home, and attempted to focus on how I could help her. I started Googling how to deal with a rope survivor and what I could expect. She started going to therapy, initially 2 times a week, then after 2 months it went down to 1 day a week. In the meantime, she finally made contact with me and asked to meet at a coffee shop. I got there, and she was already there waiting. At this point in time, they had her so medicated that I was dealing with a zombie for the most part. There was no emotion, and she was very methodical in her speech. Basically, she wanted to get together that day to tell me that she couldn't go out with me for a while until she got past some issues she was dealing with. Of course, I told her I understood. This was almost a month after the attack, and this was our first conversation by ourselves. So I was already living under this assumption. I told her I would be there for her, and that whatever she needed, whether that be space or a shoulder to cry on or anything, I was there for her. I started to tell her that I loved her, and she stopped me. She told me that right now, she didn't want to hear that, and that I had to respect her wishes. I was once again a little hurt, and frankly surprised, but I said whatever she wanted. She started texting me the next day little things, nothing important, but I thought it was a big step in getting back to where we was. I am not being updated on her progress by anyone. Granted, I realize that I am not officially family, nor am I entitled to do anything. But it would have been nice to just get a text or call or something from someone telling me that she was doing good in therapy or was not, or anything. We go out to eat at a small bistro that we ate at all of the time. I met her there, and I was waiting for her to show up. After sitting for a half-hour waiting, I texted to see what was up. I just got a text saying, "On my way." She finally arrived and sat down. I asked her how she had been, and she snapped at me and told me to not ask her personal questions. We ate, and after dinner, I wanted to just sit and talk, because I missed the person I had talked to almost every day for the previous 3 years. But when she was done eating, she said that she was ready to go home. I asked her if she could stay for just a few minutes to talk, but I could see that she was becoming physically anxious, and I did not want to upset her. So I said that I loved her and missed her. She just walked away. She went back to texting me the next day like nothing had been wrong. We actually started to see each other once a week for lunch, and she was getting more and more comfortable with being out. So she sat and talked for a while. She also started a new job, which she told me about. This went on for another 4 months. I'm happy to see her and all, but honestly, I'm very lonely. And we have not even so much as held hands. Then one day she didn't show up for lunch. I texted to see if she was okay. No reply. I called her parents to see if they knew where she was and to make sure she was okay. I got the runaround from them, and by this time, I was starting to get upset because I didn't want to know where she was at or anything. I just wanted to know if she was okay. After actually saying that, her mom said, "Yes, she is okay, but don't expect to hear from her for a while." Well, that made me start to think she had a relapse and was in the hospital. But what can I do? All I could do was go home and try to take my mind off of it. 2 weeks passed with nothing from anybody. I was trying my best to be reasonable here, but basically, I called her sister and asked if she was still alive or what she knew. I was getting frustrated, so she apologized but said that her sister told them to specifically not let me talk to her. At this point, I broke down. I didn't know what I've done wrong here. I have not pushed her. I have not tried to get her to be with me in any way, other than to just talk to me. And even then, I've had very generic conversations so as not to upset her. Then I got a text from her asking if I would meet with her at an address I wasn't familiar with. But once I looked it up, I determined this was a therapist's office. I was told to be there at 4, which meant I had to leave work early to get there. I checked in at the front desk, and I was told that the therapist wanted to speak to me alone for a few minutes. She came in, and I now knew where the parents were getting this from. Because after formally greeting me, she then started to provide me with a list of do's and don'ts. She then told me that my girlfriend wanted to speak to me and had something to tell me. I went in, and she was sitting in one chair while I was instructed to sit in the other. She had a box of tissues and had been crying. The therapist told me that I was there because my girlfriend had something to tell me, and that she wanted the safety of the therapist's office to feel safe. She then proceeded to tell me that the reason she did not meet me for lunch that day was because she was with another guy, somebody from her new job, and that they had been intimate with each other. She might as well have taken a weapon out and shot me. It couldn't have hurt anymore. I just dropped my head and began to cry. The therapist then piped in with some logic about her taking back her sexuality since she was attacked, and how this wasn't cheating in the same sense of cheating. My girlfriend then proceeded to tell me that she did not want to lose me, and that she was just very messed up in the head, and that it was a one-time thing, and blah blah blah. I felt very trapped at that moment. I felt like I was ganged up on, and the more I sat, the madder I got. I finally just said to her, "You haven't, Link," so I tell her that I don't know if I can go on with this, but I agree to meet her. I flat out tell her right up front when I see her that for me to even consider going forward with this, she has to cut this other guy off. Period. She tells me that it's impossible because they work together, and I tell her that I'm sorry, but I won't even consider it. If she is going to see this guy every day, she needs to find another job. After talking with my sister, who I have told everything to, she said that while it is not common, some women do attempt to have intimacy after being attacked, so that they feel like they have their power back. Now, why? I'm not the one who she did this with. I have no idea. But I know I feel like I'm being punished for something I did not even do. She changes jobs and we go back to our lunches. I do this twice when I tell her that I'm getting a little tired of just meeting for lunch and doing nothing else. So she agrees to come over to watch TV with me. That has been it up until tonight. Tonight she came over and we watched 2 movies and ate pizza during the second movie. I tried to give her a kiss, nothing more, just a kiss. She backs away as though I was a cross and she was a vampire and tells me she is not ready for that yet. Okay, not my finest moment here, I admit, but I tell her that it's been a year and a month and I have not tried one goddamn thing with her or forced her into anything, and yet she willingly had some other guy months ago. But here I am still waiting to hold hands. She of course starts crying, but this time I'm not as fast to apologize. I do apologize for the tone of my voice and tell her that I would never try to force her to do anything against her will. But honestly, I feel like I've been kept on the outside. I've been cheated on. I don't give 2 craps what they call it. She willingly had unprotected intimacy with someone else, and I feel like I have done everything to try and be a supportive boyfriend. I tell her that, honestly, I don't want her to text me until I decide what I'm going to do. I don't want to be unfair to her. But by the same token, a year is a long time, and we are really no closer to being back to normal than we were 6 months ago. I have no idea how long this will go on. Now here is the part where if you didn't think I was a jerk before, you will. Now I am just tired of not having intimacy. Look, I certainly understood not trying anything right afterward and even months afterward, but it's been over a year and we're not even holding hands. Frankly, the fact that she has been with someone else since this incident is killing me inside. So I told her that I'm going to think things through and promise to talk with her next week sometime. But as it stands tonight, I think I'm done. I love her. I hate the idiot who ruined both of our lives. I know this isn't her fault, and I hate that. I feel like crap no matter what I do. If I stay, I'm going to be resentful. Even if she comes over tomorrow and has intimacy with me, it will feel like either pity intimacy or desperation intimacy. But I know ending this will be punishing her for something that isn't her fault. Either advice, my God. This is way too long. TLDR. GF was raped over a year ago. In the meantime, I have given her space and let her deal with things as she deems fit. We have not been together intimately since the attack. She, on the other hand, has been with another guy. Since I think I'm done, I'm looking for advice. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.